Anything can happen on any given Sunday, but sometimes teams are too hot to handle. Through defensive dominance, masterful offense, and a healthy stroke of good luck, these squads rattled off a record number of consecutive victories, presenting the top 10 longest winning streaks in NFL history.
Here's Manning on first down. Manning going deep, and that is caught on the run by Garcon for a touchdown.
The 2009 Colts nearly got to New Year's Eve before taking their first loss, which snapped their 14-game win streak to start the season. Peyton Manning was his usual self that year, posting another 4,500-yard campaign. And remember that pass rush? Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis were dominant, leading the charge to a top 10 scoring defense.
And down goes Shaw, courtesy of Dwight Freeney.
Indy dominated plenty of teams during their streak, but they also narrowly escaped several of their games with victories along the way, most notably against the Patriots. That was the game that Bill Belichick was feeling especially bold, gambling late in the game, deep on their own side of the field, a gamble that ended up paying off for the Colts.
Catch is made, and where is the spot going to be?
Kevin Falk was bobbling the ball.
They're going to be short. Manning for the end zone. Wayne, touchdown.
Veteran football players like Reggie Wayne remain patient in clutch situations.
That Colts team had a shot at perfection, too. They were beating the Jets in the third quarter, but first-year head coach Jim Caldwell pulled Manning and the rest of the starters, and the backups let the second-half lead slip away. The Panthers also broke off 14 straight wins to start a season in 2015, and like the 2009 Colts, they too were being fueled by an elite QB performance. When it comes to all-time quarterback seasons, Cam Newton's MVP campaign has to be in the discussion. That was the year Newton really took on the Superman moniker, and for good reason: 35 TD passes, 10 TD runs, and consistently saving the day for the Panthers like he did in Week 6 in Seattle, down late in the fourth quarter.
Goes for the end zone. Olsen, touchdown!
To beat the champ, you gotta knock him out.
But it wasn't all Cam all the time either. The defense played their part as well. They forced a league-high 35 takeaways during that streak, 2 of them sealing victories for Carolina. In Week 8, Roman Harper deflected an Andrew Luck pass in overtime that landed in Luke Kuechly's arms, leading to a dramatic 52-yard game winner from Graham Gano.
Online! Panthers win in overtime!
Then the next week, it was Thomas Davis's turn, putting away the Packers with a red zone interception.
Rodgers in trouble. Intercepted by Davis. Panthers take over.
But in the second half of the season, all eyes were on Cam again, who capped off the streak with a series of truly amazing performances. In Week 11, Cam torched the Redskins for 5 touchdowns, and in Week 13, he did the same thing against the Saints, including a go-ahead score in the final minutes. 2 weeks later, he punctuated a third 5-touchdown performance with a game-winning drive that snuffed out a furious Giants comeback.
The Carolina Panthers win it to get to 14-0.
The Panthers were all in on going for that unbeaten season too, but in Week 16 it came to an end. A 20-13 loss to Atlanta, Newton fumbling the ball on a game-stealing sack that ended their streak.
Newton in trouble. Hits, balls loose, recovered. Atlanta, game over.
When any Steelers fan thinks back to their 15-game win streak in 2004, the first player they inevitably think of is number 7.
And on 2nd and 6, Roethlisberger pumps, throws long for Burris, and Burris has it. Touchdown, Steelers!
Rookie quarterback Ben Roethlisberger was called into action to replace an injured Tommy Maddox in Week 2. And well, that was pretty much the last time Maddox was relevant in the Steel City. Big Ben won his first 14 career starts, something no rookie QB had done since before 1950. But as impressive as all that was, Roethlisberger wasn't really the driving force behind all those consecutive wins. He only threw 17 TDs on the season, only had one game where he even cracked 300 yards. It was the defense that really deserved most of the credit for Pittsburgh's amazing run.
And intercepted! Picked off by his former roommate at USC, Troy Polamalu. Touchdown, Pittsburgh!
There was that Week 6 win over Dallas, James Farrier's hit on Vinny Testaverde, setting up the game-winning score late in the fourth. Then in their following game, the defense sacked Tom Brady 4 times and picked him off twice. One of them returned to the house.
And he is picked off! intercepted by Townsend, who will run it in for the touchdown.
That D was like a modern-day version of the steel curtain. They allowed the fewest points and fewest yards in the NFL in the regular season. 4 players from that defense made the Pro Bowl, including Troy Polamalu, who broke out as one of the league's top safeties in his second year in the league. Now, the team entered the playoffs on a tear, but their divisional matchup against the Jets was a slugfest. Jerome Bettis found the end zone, the defense posted a second-half shutout, and Big Ben orchestrated an overtime game-winning drive.
Number 3 from 33, and the 16-1 Steelers move on.
But the following week, the New England Patriots knocked off the Steelers for the AFC crown en route to a Super Bowl repeat. The Raiders once strung together 17 straight wins over the course of 2 different seasons. Their 1976 squad actually came within 1 win of a perfect season. Their only loss that year happened in Week 4 to the Patriots, who blew them out in New England by 31. That was the last time the Raiders would lose a game that year, though, much of that thanks to their big 3 on offense. QB Kenny Stabler, Pro Bowler, over 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, which led the NFL, and the Snake did it even though he missed 2 starts that year.
Back first down, he's going to pass, he's got time, throwing the bomb for Branch. Branch down on the 35, takes it in stride, the 30, 20, 10, touchdown Raiders!
Cliff Branch, Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro at wide receiver, racked up over 1,100 receiving yards to go along with 12 TD catches. Tight end Dave Casper also made first-team All-Pro and the Pro Bowl, just under 700 yards and 10 TDs himself. That doesn't even cover wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, who added 7 TDs on top of all that. But even though they had all that talent, they still needed a little luck here and there to keep their streak alive, like in Week 9 when the Bears pushed them to the brink. After a go-ahead Stabler score in the 4th quarter, Chicago drove into field goal range and were poised to steal a victory in the final seconds. Luckily for Oakland, though, the winds of fortune blew just right.
The snap, the spot, the kick on the way, it's high enough! No good! It hit the right upright!
The Silver and Black's win streak was at 10 when they met the Patriots in the 76th divisional round. Oakland would exact its revenge with Stabler capping off an 11-point 4th quarter comeback with a late rushing score.
He's gonna go! Kenny Stabler, touchdown Oakland!
The Raiders would reel off 13 straight wins in total that year, the final one, the franchise's first Super Bowl title.
He's going all the way! Old Man Willie, touchdown Raiders! John Madden's grin is from ear to ear.
The next year, Madden and company would pick up where they left off, tacking on 4 more wins to their total before falling to the Broncos in Week 5, a game that, get this, featured 7 interceptions by Stabler. The 89-90 49ers also put up 17 straight wins, but it was oh so close to being 24 in a row. Winners of 6 straight entering the final stretch of the 1989 season, San Francisco surprisingly let one slip away at home against the Packers.
Quarterback draw, Mikowski will score for the Packers.
That, though, was the last time the Niners would drop a game for a while. Joe Cool and company didn't lose for an entire calendar year. The streak did almost end in Week 14 of the 89 season, though. San Francisco faced a 17-point 4th quarter deficit against the Rams. Easy work for Montana, though, who led the 49ers to 21 unanswered points in the final frame, including a 95-yard TD pass to John Taylor, who had scored from 92 out earlier in that game.
Down the sidelines he goes. He ran 92 for a touchdown before. He's in again.
From then on, the 49ers were unstoppable. Montana went on an unprecedented postseason run, throwing for 11 touchdowns and no interceptions. In 3 playoff games, San Francisco outscored their opponents by 100 points, 126 to 26.
Montana going up top to Rice, touchdown.
The barrage of victories continued in 1990. After eking out wins in Houston and New Orleans early in the year, the Montana to Rice connection put up a record-setting performance against the Falcons. Montana tossed 6 touchdowns, Rice catching 5 of them to go along with 225 receiving yards.
End zone, it's a touchdown, Jerry Rice, number 5.
The 49ers remained undefeated for 5 more games before losing to the Rams in Week 12 that year, Montana throwing 3 interceptions as their streak ended at 17.
turnovers for the 49ers.
Arguably the best offense in NFL history, the Patriots rewrote the record books in 2007. During the regular season, Tom Brady threw 50 touchdowns, Randy Moss caught 23 of them, and New England scored 589 points while outscoring teams by an average of nearly 20 points per game, all of which set NFL records at the time.
Stop it. That's why Randy Moss terrifies every defensive back in football.
There were moments it looked unfair. In Week 6, Brady exploded for 5 touchdowns in Dallas, and then he did it again the following week, in the first half. Just 3 games later, Brady connected with Moss for a record-tying 4 first-half touchdowns in a 56-10 romp of the Bills. But New England did have a few scares. They were down to the Ravens with less than a minute to play in Week 13 on Monday Night Football, and of course TB12 came through.
5 options for Brady. The pump, the throw. It is caught for the touchdown, and New England leads.
And then there was that late-game comeback against the Giants in Week 17.
Stands in the pocket, fires it to the right, down the right sideline, and caught at the 20-15, 10-5, touchdown, Patriots. Tom Brady to Randy Moss, and they each have set NFL records on the go-ahead touchdown.
The narrow victory, however, was a sign of things to come. The Patriots dispatched the Jaguars and the Chargers to reach Super Bowl 42, but the cracks in their daunting offensive attack had started to show late in the season, when the heavily favored Pats faced the 5th-seeded Giants. A pair of unlikely foes delivered the crippling blow, ending their win streak at 18, and more importantly, their bid to finish the entire season perfect.
The Patriots' season is over, unfulfilled at the end.
Like New England, the 72 Dolphins also went undefeated, winning all 14 regular season games and boasted the league's top offense. But unlike New England, Miami was able to cap off their perfect run with a Super Bowl victory. In Week 3, quarterback Bob Greasy led a masterful game-winning drive to beat the Vikings, but perfection seemed unlikely when Greasy was injured 2 weeks later. 38-year-old backup Earl Morrall didn't miss a beat, though, leading Miami to 11 straight wins before Greasy reclaimed his spot as starter. The following week against the Bills, the Dolphins' top-ranked defense preserved a 1-point win and one of the most unusual and famous turnovers the game has ever seen. Miami's no-name defense, coined by Cowboys coach Tom Landry, stifled opponents all season long. Their brilliance was on full display in Week 9 when they pitched a 52-0 shutout against the Patriots. Miami finished the regular season with the #1 ranked scoring offense and defense en route to winning their first ever Super Bowl.
You can say bring them on to perfection. When you win 17 games without a defeat, that is perfect.
Miami would win their 1973 season opener, their 18th straight win, before finally losing to the Raiders in Week 2. A game that had to be played at California's Memorial Stadium because Oakland had a scheduling conflict with the Major League Baseball A's and couldn't use their typical home venue, the Coliseum. They beat Miami 12-7, all their points coming on field goals. Miami would win its next 10 straight, meaning their streak might have been 29 in a row if they had found a way to win at that college venue. No matter, they did go on to win back-to-back Super Bowls anyway.
Hands off to Zonk, heading right side, touchdown, Larry Zonka!
After a Week 16 loss to the 49ers in 1997, prospects of John Elway's first Super Bowl ring seemed dim, but the Broncos won the following week and kick-started a remarkable 18-game run. Elway threw 4 touchdowns in Week 17, but Denver soon learned to rely on a more balanced attack, as running back Terrell Davis was almost unstoppable. He rushed for 581 yards and 8 scores in the postseason alone. He put up a spectacular 157-yard, 3-touchdown MVP performance in Super Bowl 32, including the game-winning score, all while battling a severe migraine. Unbelievable. The defense forced 3 turnovers, and Elway, the ageless wonder, made a number of gutsy plays to propel Denver to its first Super Bowl victory.
Is he only 37? How important is this football game? How bad does John Elway want to win this football game?
But that was just the beginning. The following year, head coach Mike Shanahan and the Broncos proved even more dominant as Denver rattled off 13 straight wins to start the campaign. Despite Elway missing several games due to injury, Denver never sputtered as tight end Shannon Sharpe and their Super Bowl 32 MVP took the reins.
Terrell Davis is the reason the Broncos are the Broncos and the reason the Broncos won the Super Bowl last year.
Both Sharp and Davis earned first-team All-Pro nods, and the Broncos dismantled opponent after opponent in 1998. The Giants would eventually snap their string of victories in Week 15, but Denver would rebound to win its second consecutive Super Bowl title. The Packers are one of just 2 teams to have a win streak reach 19 games. 2010 was a roller coaster year for Green Bay, who were plagued by injuries and clinging to their playoff hopes entering Week 16. But in that matchup against the Giants, the team would finally find its footing and begin its march into the record books.
Jordy Nelson inside the 20. Touchdown, Green Bay.
The Packers surged into the postseason, winning 3 consecutive road games. Running back James Starks led the way through Philly in the wild card round. Rodgers put on a show against Atlanta the following week. Then B.J. Raji and the defense sent the Packers to Super Bowl 45.
Pass is picked off, and who is it? Big B.J. Raji for the touchdown.
Led by A-Rod's MVP performance, Green Bay became just the 6th wildcard team to win the Super Bowl.
The Lombardi Trophy is coming home.
The next year, the team continued to roll as Rodgers delivered his best statistical season of his career, throwing 45 touchdowns and earning MVP honors. His crowning achievement came in Week 4 when he burned the Broncos for over 400 yards and 6 scores.
Boy, did Rodgers toss that one perfectly. The best quarterback in football right now.
9 weeks later, the Packers were still undefeated, but needed a Clay Matthews pick 6 and a last-second scoring drive to knock off the Giants. The defense dismantled Oakland the following week before the Chiefs finally took them down for their first loss in 19 games. And it should come as no surprise that the longest winning streak in history was achieved by the greatest dynasty in history. After a Week 4 loss to the Redskins in 2003, New England wouldn't drop a single game until Week 8 of the following year, winning 21 in a row. Tom Brady was his usual clutch self, tossing a last-second touchdown in Denver and orchestrating 2 game-winning drives in overtime, including an 82-yard walk-off bomb to Troy Brown.
The 20, the 10, the Patriots have won! Look at them storm the field!
But it was the brilliance of Bill Belichick and the Patriots defense that carried this squad to greatness. Aided by the addition of all-pro free agent Rodney Harrison, New England led the league in points allowed and interceptions. In Week 13, they demonstrated their toughness against the run, delivering an impressive goal line stand to seal a win against the Colts.
Give it to James, straight ahead, he didn't get there! Willie McGinnis!
New England posted 3 shutouts over the final regular season games and leaned on the trusted leg of Adam Vinatieri to kick their way past the Titans in a freezing showdown at Gillette. The following week, All-Pro Ty Law intercepted league MVP Peyton Manning 3 times, and then in Super Bowl 38, Vinatieri again lifted the Patriots to an NFL title.
The New England Patriots claimed their 2nd Super Bowl championship in 3 years.
New England added Pro Bowl running back Corey Dillon in 2004 and overwhelmed opponents. A late missed field goal saved the Patriots on opening night, and the devastating combo of Brady, Dillon, and their ferocious defense guided them to 5 more wins before their historic streak came to an end in Pittsburgh.